We will be starting session 4, and that's the last session for today. Session 4, we would like to invite our distinguished speakers. We have everybody here on the stage. I will be announcing Honorable Barrister Murtaza Wahab, who is Mayor of Karachi, Pakistan. We have a city of over 15 million people, so we're very honored to have him here. We have also Ms. Yumi Franco, who is replacing Mayor Claudelino Rodas, who got stuck in Madrid. He is enjoying Spain. So unfortunately, we will try to make sure he gets here by tomorrow, but his deputy mayor, Yumi Franco, is here replacing him for the session. And we have also our distinguished representative from Toyota Motor Corporation, Ms. Yumi Otsuka, who is Senior General Manager for Sustainability. And we have also Ms. Azusa Matsumoto from UNIDO, and Ms. Oddy Angelo from UN Habitat. So I'd like to ask our distinguished panelists to kindly take a seat. And we hope everybody can move closer to the center of the room if possible for the last session here today. This session was originally just going to focus on the topic of climate adaptation. But then we learned that, as you saw in the survey for the forum, economic competitiveness, job creation, development, these are the core priorities for a lot of the representatives that are here today. Economic resilience. So we wanted to add the topic of competitiveness and this economic lens to the session as well, because that is kind of the driver for growth. And so I will start by introducing this concept very briefly. And I think I shared a couple slides to explain the link when we talk about climate change. And also sometimes you may know somebody who doesn't really believe in climate change. They don't think it's, something tangible or real. They think it's the weather of the day. So I always present this figure, which is a paper that was released in 2023, which is the first time they put together all of the data they could on the Earth from going back as long as possible to track temperatures. And so at the end of the graph, you'll see over here, we have this dinosaur. That's the time on the Earth where we can see in the geological record, dinosaurs, stopped existing. But the Earth is really more than 4 billion years old. And then in that time of the dinosaurs, and then afterwards, we had something called the hothouse. So the Earth was much warmer than what we have today. So climate change is these long-term changes in temperature, the average temperature, not just daily weather, but really the long-term average. So looking beyond year to year. And then we entered, way before humans today, what we call Homo sapiens today, we entered what was called the ice house. So humans, Homo sapiens, as we are today, according to what's been found in the geological record, we've existed in this ice house temperature. And then much later, really about 12 to 15,000 years ago, we had farming. So some of you may know the Fertile Crescent, Mesopotamia, these cities and farming that emerged. Also in the Mayan regions in Central America, farming emerged around that time. That was really just right there, very recent, 12 to 15,000 years ago, in this same cold period. So when you see up there, we have been existing in the cold period. But in the future, with climate change, the scenarios show that it's going to increase, if we do nothing, business as usual, up to the orange part. So it will go back up to where it was about 50 million years ago, before we did farming, before we had civilization. Very unpredictable. So we need to adapt. The benefit is, in the last IPCC report, this is called AR6, we look at scenarios of how things can change, and economics is really embedded into that. Socioeconomic assumptions, the geopolitical changes that need to happen, and the economic and technological trends. And so when we talk about resilience, like we've been hearing today, we need to rethink economic planning because it makes economic sense for the future. And we need to adapt and invest in climate adaptation because it makes economic sense as well. So we see that 2.3 trillion per year is the global cost of the disasters as a whole. So we just need to think about developing in this new way, the new innovation, the new green growth, as we call it. And I wanted to show you this. Cities that invest in transformational adaptation and innovation, like Singapore, we all know the case of Singapore, they experience higher productivity, even with the same capital and labor inputs. So when we study economics, we often talk about what's called the solo growth model. This is the formula for competitiveness and economic growth. And the key driver, the factors of production, is technology, so investing in technology. The new growth wave is, if you heard, this is what I was watching last night in my room. The Nobel Prize for Economics was awarded yesterday to these 3 different academics or scientists, and they have been looking exactly at this, how is growth driven? And it's driven by the power of technology, innovation, and that's what spurs competitiveness. So the new wave of competitiveness and growth is climate adaptation, but also mitigation. But that's what's going to spur our wave and our resilience as we grow and develop into a new human civilization. And we have national adaptation plans, which all of our countries are submitting this year. Cities are fundamental to the national adaptation plans because resilient infrastructure is essential. Innovating, as I mentioned, into new markets is essential. And this is job creation, and this is where it happens. It happens at the local level. So human capital, livable cities, this all happens at the local level. This is one thing I wanted to leave you with, which we will also start and address today, but also tomorrow, is finance. On the orange side here, on this side, you can see the majority of world population is located in low or middle income countries, and the majority of finance is not located in these countries. It's located in what would be developed countries. So it's a misallocation of finance, and we need that investment to spur growth. So with that, I would like to start our session. So we're all well-founded on why we have combined climate adaptation with economic competitiveness for our session. And we will start our first presentation here with our Honorable Barrister Murtaza Wahab, who is Mayor of Karachi, Pakistan, a city of more than 15 million people. I think 17 million at this stage, so over to you.
Thank you, Sara. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I represent the city of Karachi, and she was quoting the figure. We're a city of 20.3 million people. So you can imagine the size of the city that I represent, the number of people that I cater to, and the challenges that the administration faces in enforcing this aspect. I'd like to start off by, the presentation is there, and I have made a speech to go with the presentation. It's an honor to represent Pakistan's largest coastal metropolis at this forum dedicated to localizing climate action. Today, I'll be sharing how Karachi is advancing resilience and competitiveness through its climate action plan, linking to the green growth, waste circularity, water resilience, and inclusive partnerships. Today, I will share how Karachi is moving from planning to implementation, demonstrating how we are localizing the SDGs and the Pact for the Future by directly linking climate action with economic competitiveness and social inclusion. We've recently approved the climate action plan, which was done in the month of March 2025. It delineates the way forward with regards to the adaptation that Karachi needs to focus on and ways and means to protect its people and also combat and mitigate the effects of climate change. The development of a climate action plan is a powerful example of the multi-stakeholder collaboration championed by the United Nations. We are proud to work with C40 cities, UNDP's climate promise, and the urban unit. As mayor, I've taken ownership as the custodian of this plan. The leadership is crucial as the Pact for Future emphasizes the need to integrate local governments into global governance framework to achieve the SDG. This is extremely important. Why? Because when we talk about global issues, We talk about global leadership. We don't emphasize the importance of the local leadership, people who are actually challenging the day-to-day affairs, the issues that a common man faces. So therefore, to reach the micro level, we need to focus, we need to diversify, not just focus on the global impact, but also focus on the localization of this aspect. So in the Karachi Climate Action Plan, we are just not aiming for carbon neutrality by 2050. We are also building a city that is resilient to climate hazards, extreme rainfall, heat waves. Crucially, we are focused on core benefits, better jobs, a healthier environment, and more equitable distribution of resources. This is how we make climate action more popular and sustainable, and this also aligns directly with SDG 13 and the forum's focus on how adaptation investments deliver multiple dividends, including jobs and economic growth. As I stand before you, my city, my province has recently faced a climate crisis. In my city, we faced unprecedented rainfall in the month of September, which is the end of monsoon. And historically, that was never the case in the city of Karachi. And the rainfall, if you look at the empirical data for the last 100 years, the rainfall that Karachi received in the month of September was 10 times more than the average rainfall. So that goes to suggest how brutal the effect is, how the developed world is contributing to the menace that my city, my country, my part of the world is facing, while we don't have the same financial resources to combat or mitigate such challenges. Karachi Action Plan focuses on key factors where we can have the greatest impact. These sectors are not isolated, but they are actually interconnected, mirroring the integrated approach of 6 key transitions identified by the United Nations, which is food systems, energy access and affordability, digital connectivity, education, jobs and social protection, climate change, biodiversity loss and pollution. Our work on energy and green growth aligns with energy transition. Waste management is our entry point into circular economy, and water resilience is fundamental to climate and biodiversity transition. While formulating this policy, and I'd like to, add on what the mayor of Indur was saying in the last session, was with regards to public participation, because no policy, no matter how good the policy is, if you want the policy to sustain, it needs to have public ownership. The people of that city, the people of that province, the people of that area need to own that policy. And that is where public participation comes in very handy. And before formulating this policy, before approving it, we had carried out more than 100 stakeholder engagements to understand their point of view, to engage with them, and then come up with this document which will hopefully address the effects that we are trying to combat. In my presentation, I've also focused on greenhouse gases and 43.5 million metric tons of carbon dioxide. This is the combined amount of greenhouse gases emitted from all sectors in my city. This greenhouse gas emission identifies the emission hotspots, allowing us to target our efforts strategically. This is a perfect example of localizing global SDG monitoring frameworks. We are using data to guide our local progress on SDG 13. While we are using indicators to actually get hold of the empirical data, we have the monitors available to understand the air quality index. We're also working with the private sector in terms of public-private partnerships so as to engage with the private sector to not force them, but sort of persuade them to go towards measures which are based on green energy, renewables, and these sort of things. My city is again blessed to have a wind corridor with a capacity of nearly producing 50,000 megawatts of electricity. And that's, again, about 10 times more than the actual requirement that the city needs. So we are focusing on that aspect with the support of our federal government, with the support of our provincial government, and the political party that I'm representing. The revival of Gutter Bagicha, this is one area that I'd like to focus on, because this space was this urban space right in the heart of the city of Karachi. It has not a very planned development. The people in big numbers live over there, but they are deprived of the basic amenities. It's a huge chunk of land where we have industrial and municipal waste collected. We have industrial and municipal water collected. So we are currently working on modernizing that entire area, which would include having the largest sewage treatment plant facility in the country of Pakistan, which will treat 100 million gallons of sewage water daily. As part of our commitment to save water, we will be focusing on recycling that water so that the recycled water can be utilized by our industries and we can use the precious fresh water for our domestic needs. Similarly, with regards to waste, we have a plan of developing a proper waste to energy plant over there, which will utilize the waste to produce paver blocks, which will help the local population in locally sustaining the development of the area. We have the plan of developing a solar park which would provide cheaper electricity to the people so that they give more ownership to this intervention of the local council. And lastly, we would also be working on ways and means to develop biogas from the waste that is generated from my city so that that cheap biogas can be provided to our people. Just to give you a number, my city produces 12,000 tons of waste every 24 hours. So that's the level of challenge that we face. Karachi is blessed to have two rivers flowing across it. One is called the Mali River and one is called the Liari River. These were traditionally, historically proper rivers, but with the surge in population, with urban development, they actually became sort of small streams with flowing sewage. We are, in the recent rains, I'm 41 years old, I saw it for the first time when these streams actually turned into proper rivers. We saw nothing but water over the banks of both these rivers because that was the quantum that the city of Karachi was facing. And through these rivers, the rainwater was actually drained out into the Arabian Sea. So we have now plans when we are working on sewage treatment, recycling of wastewater, we are working on ways and means to purify these both streams. We are working on ways and means of utilizing these two streams as urban forest space so that more and more plantation can take place, which can increase the green cover, which is so desperately required by the city of Karachi. I represent a political party. I'm joined here by the Lord Mayor of Sakhar as well. And that is extremely important. Why? Because when local initiatives are backed by political manifesto, it is so much easier to implement those ideas. So the political party that I represent, that is focused on building climate resilient homes. I'm proud to say this, that in my province, in 2022, when we had floods and millions got affected because of the floods, we started a very ambitious plan of building 2.1 million homes, climate resilient homes. The process has started, and I'm very happy to inform that so far we've been able to build 1.2 million homes, and as the best of my knowledge, this is the largest probably climate resilient development at the local level that has taken place. The way forward, our way forward is structured, ambitious and focused on finance, as so many people have earlier highlighted, which is, in my view, key to implementation. We will embed the Karachi Climate Action Plan into our annual development plan, creating a dedicated implementation fund. This is about multi-level governance and action. We will use technical assistance for feasibility studies and crucially create a public MRV, measurement, reporting and verification dashboard for transparency. Finally, we also aim to develop these projects into bankable proposals to attract international climate finance that the concept note identifies, which is so critical for our cities. We are ready to partner not just with international organizations, we are also ready to partner with corporate entities. My colleague from Japan was earlier talking about that Japan is a small country. Pakistan, on the other hand, is a big country. We have big parcels of land which are available, and I feel and I take it as an opportunity to pitch to international organizations, to corporate entities, that if they want to neutralize their carbon footprint, we can provide you the space, we can provide you the access which is required for carrying out all of these measures. As the mayor of the city of Karachi, representing my city, I pledge my commitment, my city's commitment to SDGs, our city's commitment to make our city sustainable in terms of whether it's waste management or whether it's sewage management, whether it's treatment of sewage or recycling of sewage. We stand committed to prioritize and to promote greener energy initiatives, and we have started carrying out this task by developing solar parks in the city of Karachi. Single-use plastic has been banned in our city, and unfortunately, our challenge is to enforce that ban because, as I said, it's a huge city. It's a city of more than 20 million people. So people have their very strong habits, which is difficult for them to actually change. But we are trying our best to, instead of enforcing it by force, we are trying to convince them that if you don't support this government initiative, it is you as the people who will suffer. Last but not the least, because of the abundant use of single-use plastic, our drains have gotten clogged. When drains get clogged, water is not drained out. When water is not drained out, it creates problem for the people who are living in that locality. And when eventually the water gets drained out, the single-use plastic goes into our ocean, into our sea, and creates havoc for the marine life as well. So these are the commitments that we've made. And again, at this forum, I would like to completely pledge my support to whatever would be the outcome of this session and to the overall proceedings of this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the Honorable Mayor and for introducing the Karachi Climate Action Plan and all of the innovative investments that Karachi is making to ensure resilience and adaptation, but also spurring job creation, as he mentioned. So thank you. We will now move to the other hemisphere of the world, to South America. And I would like to invite the Deputy Mayor, Yumi Franco, to join us for her presentation on Paraguay. Paraguay, where I had the honor of serving previously as the country economist, Paraguay is the top 10 beef exporters in the world, and also top 4 often for soy export. It's number 4 after US, Brazil, and Argentina. So for last year, in the region where Ms. Franco comes as the deputy mayor, is the powerhouse for this production. Thus, despite years of drought and many challenges, the community has adapted and thrived. So we're very honored to have their perspective here today. Thank you.
Bueno, buenas tardes. El intendente, el señor Claudelino Rodas, no pudo acompañar hoy por un problema de su vuelo, pero ya esperemos que mañana nos pueda acompañar.
Hi. So, as was introduced, Paraguay is the country whose potential in grain growth. And let me just introduce to you the Paraguay. We have a western and eastern part and then in the southern part you can find the areas which is drought-prone region. In the east part, quite wet, more rainfall, and so it produces much of grain. And Paraguay is a country with the area space 420,000 square meters and then 7 million populations. And so this is a Boquilon department. That's where we reside. So in the southern part, it's quite hot and then drought-prone area. And the area is 91,669 square kilometers, which comprises about 22% of the national territory. And so our city belongs to the Boquelon department. And this the region, very drought, and yet the productivity is very high. Few rainfall, very dry, but the productivity is quite high because of our tremendous amount of effort on our part. And so I came from the Philadelphia city, 470 kilometers away from the country's capital, and then very, very dry, as I have mentioned a couple of times. And in Philadelphia, very dry once again. And in 1929, Mennonites colony it became, and then this is the colonial place because of the Mennonite production as a reason. And Perheim Mennonite colony, that was the name. And the Philadelphia city became in place in 1993. And 2006, by law number 2928, Philadelphia was elevated to the district level. Very new city, in fact. And so we have municipal government in place, and then the private activities followed. The Mennonite production was a main industry. Here shows the information of Philadelphia. So 20,595 habitants, and most of them live in the city areas. 13,000 square kilometers, that's the area, and there are many the racial, the people living where the cultural diversity being very high. So we have colony areas, the area where a lot of diversity that you can find. And then we have a sustainable strategies. For the planning, we have a national development plan first. And we have our local plan, which is broken down from the national development plan. We call them regional development plan. And there, the specific and the practical programs are being in place. So first we have a national level plan, and we have a local development plan, which is generated by us based upon the national plan. And then also we come up with a guideline to promote the specific development plan. And there we have the urban planning and the system development plan. And also we have a particular zoning for our plan to adapt the environmental and climate changes. And next, 2022. We submitted ILV reports, and there we have made an evaluation on the achievement regarding the SDGs. We have done the review. Very importantly, we have been executing these actions continuously, but among them, how we need to visualize the process to see the progress of activities. This is something that we have done in evaluating our activities upon SDGs. And sustainable action is extremely important, and then visualization is something that we have found very important in our process. And here I'm showing to you our plan. So, for example, the equal social development. This is to do with the SDG 1 and 2. Especially focusing on children. And we have a specific budget planning as well. And we're not thinking about implementing all this plan without the budget. So for the actual implementation, we have a specific budget in place, and the progress are being reviewed. Also, how many more minutes do we have? I want to share with you our situation of the water, because this is the hardest issue. In the western part of Chaco state, this is extremely important fact. And there are people who are living because of the Mennonite production. And in spite of the fact that there is not much water, they are trying very best to preserve the water with the traditional technology. So let me just share with you. This is a tank, and this is a reservoir. Very few precipitations here, and we have a reservoir here to keep the water, and this water is being used for the agricultural industries. And then as for the solution for this issue having to do with the water, we have certain the measure to save the water, that rainfall, and keep it at the reservoir. And so reservoir preparation, and then water system supply, maintenance, and then also tank lorry is being used to supply water. So you can see this picture, the reservoir picture. This is where we do all the preparatory and reservation activities there. And also, we need to clean up and have a good preparation for the reservoirs for the water supply. And then if the water is being scarce, and then we use a tank lorry to supply water. And also, quite important to have a good reservation of the water. And so this is a drought area, dry place. So by creating the resilient society, we'll be able to enjoy a high level of production for agriculture and cattle industry. And then also we are, of course, supplying water for the people as well. And so on the top of the roof of the people's residence, they have a certain reservoir system of the water as well. And also there are many indigenous people living, and this is another challenge to manage. Actually, at Chaco, the state, 60% of the populations are Aborigine or indigenous people. Access to the water is certainly the challenge. And then also it imposes as well the social and cultural challenges because they know what they have, the way of supplying the water. They have their own traditional way of using the water. And we use the word, the goddess of the resource such as water. Basically, the women of this indigenous population are known as a people who use and collect and manage the water. So now talking about the cotton industry, we have a high potential, especially the Philadelphia city. One of the major production sites is the Philadelphia city, and we have various projects. Regenerative, the energy, the measures are now taking place, and also diversified, the measure is taking place to develop a new plant. Now, talking about the adaptation, we understand that word adaptation as that working together. So let me explain. Sustainable development, that word itself is not enough. We need to have a multi-layered collaboration for the sustainable development. All the decisions are made at different level, but the multilateral collaboration is quite important. And then also each municipalities of the Bokelon, the department, we have the representative of each region and then work together. Another feature of the Philadelphia city is that the development must be organizational. It must be continuous. It should not be transient. Natural resources, climates, all of that has to be incorporated for the best kind of development to be chosen. And then for Paraguay, I mean, this country is a high potential country, a lot of projects. We have the good collaboration with other countries. And also in Philadelphia city, there are two important routes are being created. Resilient collaboration is something that I would like to emphasize today. Very, very difficult conditions, difficult environment that we have, but please take a look. This is the green maze. We call it the green maze. We also always create something like this. This symbolizes the way of nurturing, cultivating the greens. So this is a symbol. As I said, we live in a dry land, but we create a green maze like this. This is only possible by having a best kind of management and leave no one out or leave no one behind is another focal point as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Franco, for the perspective from Paraguay in this arid region that you see in the heart of South America. That is a hallmark of resilience, as she mentioned, and how water is a valuable resource, and it will be even more so as a story of success and development when the two oceans will be connected through the corridor that will connect the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific, and that will run through the region. So thank you. Now we would like to move to a private sector perspective and the presentation from Toyota Motor Corporation, we have Ms. Yumi Otsuka, who is Senior General Manager for Sustainability Management. She is a pioneer in women's employment as well at Toyota Motor Corporation and has really been involved in Toyota Motorsports and other parts of the corporation, pioneering sustainability as well. So it's an honor to have you.
Thank you for your kind introduction. Hello, everyone. It's my honor and pleasure to have this opportunity to talk about Toyota's efforts for mitigation and adaptation in front of such a distinguished guest. So let me begin with Toyota's commitment to sustainability. So first of all, sustainability is not new to Toyota. Sustainability is embedded in our DNA. Let me share an episode about our group founder, Mr. Sakichi Toyoda. He is a well-known entrepreneur and then innovator. He invented innovative looms, including the world's first automatic loom. But his first invention was to help his mother, who worked late every night. He wanted to ease her burden, and so he improved the loom so that she could operate the loom only by one hand. That Kaizen dramatically improved the efficiency. Maybe you know the core of Toyota production system is Kaizen, continuous improvement for efficiency. But the spirit of improvement is not for higher profitability, but for better quality of life for the people. So from the beginning, care for others, care for society is the spirit we embrace. With that spirit, now Toyota is transforming from a car manufacturer to what we call mobility company, to continuously contribute to the society. As a compass for our journey to a mobility company, Toyota sets Toyota philosophy and defines our mission as producing happiness for all. All means all people around the world, including the future generation. Of course, happiness may take different forms depending on the person. Therefore, to match the needs and preferences of each individual, we believe it's important to offer diverse options through the utilization of both hardware and software, and also maybe incorporating mobility into a part of society's system. That's why we need to step out of a mere car manufacturer to a mobility company. And this mission determines our approach to climate change as well. I'll talk about it in a minute. Next, let's talk about our mitigation initiatives. This chart shows our regional sales portfolio. As compared with other OEMs in Europe and US, Toyota's business operations are spread around the world with a very balanced regional portfolio, as you can see. So we understand there are very different road conditions and diverse needs in different places around the world. The adoption rate of renewable energy differs from country to country, as these pie charts indicate. Consequently, we take a multi-pathway approach, combining different powertrains such as BEVs, FCEVs, PHEVs, and HEVs, and different energies such as electricity, hydrogen, and sustainable fuel. Toyota believes it's important that individuals can choose the best option from them depending on where they live and then how they use their vehicle. So from our vantage point, carbon neutrality should be approached in an inclusive way. Next, I'd like to talk about the 3 keys to our initiatives, which are important not only for climate change, but also for our competitiveness. First one is technologies. We are developing different technologies, such as hydrogen and new engine plus sustainable fuels. We believe hydrogen is an integral energy source in the future. So we quest to change the future with hydrogen. We use hydrogen as an energy source for our plant. Together with partners, we promote FCEVs, which use hydrogen as an energy source for electricity. Especially, we believe hydrogen is more suitable energies for commercial vehicles, such as trucks, which require longer distance and then higher loading capacity. We are also developing small hydrogen cartridge, as you can see here, which is easier to carry and refuel, so that people can find many different applications for hydrogen. We also developed a new hybrid engine, which can be zero-emission vehicle with sustainable fuel. Second key is the transformation of development and production. Since BEV is one of the key contributors to climate change mitigation, we're developing game-changing products, which are stylish and achieve driving range of 1,000 kilometers. But besides that, we aim to use BEV as an opportunity to revolutionize vehicle structure and production method. We will have production preparation lead time, production process, and factory investment through new modular structure, self-propelling assembly lines, and digital twin technologies. Third one is the efforts across value chain. Toyota has been working on enhancing logistic efficiency to decrease greenhouse gas emissions. Utilizing connected data and Toyota production system, we are trying to reduce travel distance with optimized delivery route and enhance road efficiency and reduce the number of trucks on the road. Now I move to the adaptation initiatives. At Toyota, we strive to build a disaster-resilient supply chain in close collaboration with our suppliers across countries and regions. We promote transparency in supply chain information and impact assessment, which enable us to implement a proactive disaster preparation aimed at reducing damage and shortening the recovery of lead times. The key to these efforts is the database built on highly confidential information provided by our suppliers, extended beyond Tier 1 to cover almost the entire supply chain network. This database maps supplier locations where products are ordered from multiple vendors or single source, and availability of alternatives. Given that Toyota works with around 60,000 suppliers, achieving this kind of database requires tremendous efforts for us. However, with this system, now we can identify risks within the value chain, and based on risk assessment, we visit supplier sites for high-risk parts to discuss countermeasures, encourage them self-inspection check, and diversify orders among multiple suppliers. In regions with high logistical risk, we have begun engaging with local government and energy or the infrastructure companies. Also, Toyota learned from the actual disaster recovery and reflect the lessons learned to the preparation. Actually, unfortunately, Japan is a country prone to frequent natural disasters such as typhoon and then big earthquakes. Also, Toyota operates globally. We have faced significant disasters such as the Great East Japan earthquake, large-scale floods in Thailand and South Africa, and so on. Toyota sends a special team to those areas to help our affiliate companies and our suppliers there. In disaster recovery, Toyota prioritizes the safety of the members on the site first, then community restoration, then business recovery. So our commitment to prioritize community well-being over business interests has earned gratitude from local communities, fostering stronger partnership with them. This is a concluding slide for my intervention. As I have explained, the initiatives for mitigation and adaptations require the development of new technologies, new way of working, and collaboration across value chain and beyond. Those are crucial to enhance our competitiveness also. I believe companies should contribute to the sustainability of the society, and by doing so, we can make our companies more sustainable. More importantly, to make a real impact, companies need to cater the diverse needs of cities and regions. There's no one fits all solutions in the initiatives for climate change. So the cross collaboration with local government is very important. So let's work together to produce happiness for all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Otsuka, for reminding us how important it is to embed sustainability in the value chain and plan for risks as we adapt to climate change, and also the principles of Kaizen as well. I would like to stop for a minute before we move to our last two interventions from the UN perspective and ask if there's any questions from the audience. Since we've had two city presidents, please raise your hands if you have a question for any of the three distinguished panelists so far. Don't see any hands. Okay, so now we will move to the last two presenters that we have to shift to a United Nations perspective. We have UNIDO, which is the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and the perspective of how that relates to, how industrial development relates to climate change. So Ms. Azusa Matsumoto, the microphone is yours.
Thank you very much. And my name is Azusa Matsumoto. I work as a project coordinator for the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. Thank you for the organizers for holding this event, and also the distinguished participants and from the representative of the city. So today I'd like to introduce what UNIDO we are doing to promote the inclusive and sustainable industrial development through the technologies and investment from Japan. So here we have representatives of the city today in this room, and we all know that the cities are the most vulnerable and most affected by the climate change. But at the same time, they are the most important actors when it comes to the adaptation and the actions required. And here as a UNIDO mission, we try to assist those drivers of the changes for the cities and the developing and emerging economies. So as UNIDO, we are the specialized agency of the United Nations, specifically focused on the inclusive and sustainable industrial development, which is marked by the SDG 9 on industry, innovation, and infrastructure. We are kind of a unique organization. We work very closely with the business and private sectors. Our headquarters is located in Vienna, Austria. However, we have several offices across the globe, and one of each is in Japan. So, Investment and Technology Promotion Office Tokyo of UNIDO is located in Shibuya, Tokyo, and we work to bridge between the Japanese innovation and the local development needs. We achieve this through the several different pillars of the activities, and today I'd like to introduce two of those activities, delegate program and technology transfer. So first, the technology transfer. Well, we transfer the technology, the Japanese technologies, to abroad. And this is the tool, how we do this technology transfer. We call it Sustainable Technology Promotion Platform, STEP for short. So this is, STEP is curated platform, list of the technologies created in Japan and proven and have a track record in Japan that can be applied to several different challenges across the different economies across the world. And here we are in the UNIDO, we try to bridge these Japanese technology owners and the field which they have the challenges that can be potentially solved by those technologies. So we try to achieve the win-win situation for the Japanese company side. You know, the Japanese population is decreasing and aging, and the market is shrinking and so on. So lots of Japanese companies are trying to find a new market abroad. And this is one of the ways that they are looking so much potential in the developing and emerging economies. And at the same time, in those countries, as we have heard from the two cities' representatives, there are several challenges that can be addressed by some of the Japanese finance and technology. So under the STEP, we have 5 different categories: energy, environment, agribusiness, human health, and disaster management. So, for example, the water conservation, water storage, one of the areas that are in the strong interest of Philadelphia, Paraguay, for example, is registered under the human health and the public health section about the water, or the waste management is registered under the environment. There are about 150 technologies registered as of today, and about 78% of those technologies are owned by small and medium enterprises of Japan. So how do these technologies are registered under the STEP? It's not actually easy. It's not one of those platforms that you can just submit and your name is on it and you don't have to do anything. No, STEP is not that easy. You have to submit quite a number of the applications to prove that the technology is true to the science, it has the potential to solve the issues in defined needs, and also not just the technological perspective, we also take a look at the managerial perspective as well. We check if the company has a financial, strong, stable situation, how many English speakers will be in the team, and so on. So we make sure that those technologies that you contact through STEP, anytime you contact, they are ready to provide their technology and provide and have a business conversation at any time. And we do an annual review as well with all 150 technologies. So sometimes you see the number goes down. That is because that company has decided to not to do the overseas visits at the moment. Then in that case, we will remove from the list. So the list is maintained and it is always up to date. So here you can actually visit our STEP. through this QR code, or you can just Google UNIDO step, and you can see like what type of technologies are registered in here. But in this presentation, I would like to introduce some of the examples, like what kind of technologies are registered and how it has been applied in which country and so on. So here is one example of a smokeless incinerator. This incinerator can treat medical and industrial waste. So you can put the plastic in it, like needles in it, and it has a very, very high efficient furnace. So the high heat will melt those plastics and will reduce the harmful substances. So there's no smoke, there's no harmful smoke coming out of this medical incinerator. So this is a good technology to achieve the cleaner environment. And also, when those Japanese companies introduce these incinerators, they will provide the sanitary practices, like the hazardous waste should only go through this route, and it should be marked by the color and so on. So such practices and operational manuals are also provided. Another example is from the agriculture. So when the rice is cultivated, it creates a rice husk, and lots of agricultural waste are generated. Most of the rice husks are not really used properly. But this Japanese company has a technology to put those rice husks and compress it very hard, so it will become a biomass stick. It can be used like a log. So you can use as a heating or the cooking. So this is a useful technology for to combat against the deforestation by using the untapped resources into energy. And then also at the same time, create the jobs for the farmers by using those waste, turning into the values. So this was introduced in Vietnam, Madagascar, and United Republic of Tanzania. Another example is from the vehicle. So we have a presentation from Toyota now, but here in Kenya, Uganda, and United Republic of Tanzania, we had a project with the Japanese company introducing the vehicle recycling technology. So they partner with the local vocational training school. So they do they create new jobs for those workers and provide the skills in industrial workers. Then, at the same time, retrieve those materials from the vehicles, like harnesses, wires, and metal that can still be retrieved and be used for the new cars, so it reduces the carbon footprint. And if you travel some parts of the world, you see a lot of used vehicles. There is a graveyard of the vehicles, and that is just untouched. But those can also be turned into something valuable. So this technology addresses that challenges. Then the last example is from the Femitech. So we worked with this Japanese company who produced female sanitary underwear that can be used and used again for the menstruation. So it captures the blood for when women are during the menstruation. So since it can be reused, you can reduce the cost of the sanitary products and improve the girls' sanitation and healthcare. And also, this sewing technique was introduced to, again, in the partnership with the vocational school as well. The women gained their sewing skills, trained, and then got much more economic powers. So that's the 4 examples of the STEP registered technology and how those have been applied in different parts of the world. So I hope you take a look at the STEP and see if there's any technology that will be suitable for your own situation and your place. And then UNIDO will do the matchmaking, we'll communicate with the companies, we communicate with you guys and identify what we can do to transfer that technology from Japan to the developing and emerging economies. So please let us know if you have any ideas, and I'm happy to work. And the Honorable Mayor of Karachi mentioned that they are a space and they provide the situation, and then the Japanese company side, they just don't know where to start. So we will be the bridge between you and the Japanese companies. And last but not least, I would like to also introduce another activity our office does. We call it a delegate program. So we invite several investment-related officials from developing and economic countries, emerging countries, to Japan for 1 or 2 weeks to have a strong partnership with the Japanese companies and Japanese government. We will organize the business meetings, business seminars, normally ranging 100 to 200 participants, and sometimes organize a visit to the exhibitions and factory visits and so on. Our purpose is to connect those developing nations, key persons, travel to Japan and then get the network with those Japanese businesses. So recently we invite a lot of representatives from the cities. So if you are interested in through this channel as well, please let us know as well. So here is again the QR code for the step. Please take a look and please let us know anytime. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Azusa, very much. That's wonderful, and I'm sure many of the participants will be contacting you afterwards for potential participation and partnerships. I would like to move now to our last presenter, which is Ms. Oddy Angelo, who is Human Settlements Officer with UN Habitat in its regional office here for Asia Pacific. She will talk to us about the work that UN Habitat has been doing to support climate adaptation for local governments as well.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here today with all of you. We have mayors from different regions, from Africa, from Asia, and from Latin America. So today I would like to share with you the work of UN Habitat is doing in Asia Pacific to adapt to climate change and also to build resilient human settlements. Climate change, we have talked, through the presentations, we have talked always about climate change. So what is happening in our world? So climate change has already raised global temperatures by approximately 1.4 Celsius. And if emissions continue unchecked, we could see increases up to 3.5 Celsius by 2060. Each degree bringing more heat waves, rising sea levels, and disruptions. Cities responsible for around 70% of global emissions are also the most vulnerable. Our cities are facing floods, heat stress, and strain on the infrastructure. As urban areas expand, they threaten biodiversity with nearly 290,000 square kilometers of natural habitat at risk by 2030, especially in critical spots. To address this, we need urban system thinking. This means designing cities that cut emissions, protect nature, and help communities adapt, making them smarter, more resilient, and sustainable. Asia Pacific stands as the epicenter of climate vulnerability, home to the world's most disaster-prone regions and rapidly urbanizing cities. With vast coastlines and low-lying areas, millions of people are exposed to rising seas, floods, typhoons. Cities like Jakarta, Dhaka, and Manila face the dual threat of expansion and subsidence. Rapid urban growth often outspaces infrastructure, pushing informal settlements into high-risk zones. Climate change intersects with other crises like pandemics, migration, inequality, and escalating disasters, making urban resilience not only urgent, but essential. As I have just said, Asia Pacific is the world's most disaster-prone region, accounting for 40% of global disasters between 2000 and 2021. Since 1970, over 2 million lives have been lost to disasters, and economic damages have surged from an average of $3.8 million monthly for over 5 decades up to $57 million in 2022 alone. 7 of the most affected countries are in this region. These figures underscore the urgent need for resilient building, inclusive urban planning, and community-led recovery efforts. And it's here where the honorable mayors must lead the change in preparing cities for escalating risks and protecting the most vulnerable. Our region is highly diverse and highly vulnerable to climate change. As I have said before, it has already warmed by 1.5 Celsius since 1901, with urban areas feeling the heat more intensely due to the dense infrastructure and limited green space. Shifting rainfall patterns are disrupting monsoons, while sea levels are rising at a faster rate than the global average, threatening over 570 million people by 2050. Extreme weather events like ecosystem degradation and pollution are compounding risk, with PM 2.5 pollution contributing to 3.6 million premature deaths in 2019 alone. Water scarcity, as the mayor of Karachi was mentioning before, is emerging as a critical issue, potentially affecting 3.4 billion people by 2030. It's expected that water will be drying up by 2030 alone in Afghanistan. These interconnected challenges require urgent coordinated action to build resilient and inclusive cities across the region. So UN Habitat Asia Pacific is advancing climate adaptation by partnering with climate finance institutions such as the Adaptation Fund to support vulnerable communities living in urban and peri-urban areas. Our people-centered approach includes climate vulnerability assessments, inclusive local adaptation planning, and ensuring the voices of women, ethnic minorities, and at-risk groups are heard. Again, during today's session, we have always heard about the community engagement, the community participation. That is the key of UN Habitat's approach in Asian Pacific. These efforts align with national priorities and global frameworks, particularly SDG 11 on sustainable cities and SDG 13 on climate action. We in Habitat will also strengthen coordination between national and local governments to ensure adaptation is effective and sustainable. We are helping communities adapt in ways that are inclusive, locally driven, and future-ready. Over the past decade, UN Habitat Asia Pacific has launched 13 adaptation projects across 9 countries, supported by a total budget of $78 million. This funded by the Adaptation Fund. Each country focused on different priority sectors, ranging from water management and resilient infrastructure to ecosystem restoration and community-based planning. All these activities reflect on the region's diverse climate challenges and development context. We partner with the national designated authority in every country. We partner with the local governments, we partner with municipalities. Our work is also in partnership with local NGOs and community-based organizations. This is just a glimpse of our interventions. As I have mentioned, we have been working in 9 countries. So we have 13 projects at the moment, and we have some others in the list to be approved by the Adaptation Fund. So, for example, in Fiji, we have been building resilience and informal settlements through community awareness and asset protection, and We have the mayor of Fiji here, Suba. And in Malaysia, we are working to adapt to the effects of heat and floods through urban greening and the development of resilient infrastructure. In the Solomon Islands, grassroots climate action is driven by world-level governance and capacity building. And Sri Lanka Mulattuvis region is benefiting from a small-scale infrastructure supporting climate-resilient livelihoods, while Vietnam is linking sustainability with empowerment through strategic planning for human settlements. So these initiatives demonstrate that local leadership, supported by strong partnerships, can transform vulnerability into resilience. Into resilience. So in Cambodia, we are working with, our effort is focusing on building institutional capacity. We are restoring coastal ecosystems and strengthening communities' knowledge. In Lao PDR, we are integrating climate adaptation into inclusive town planning and resilient infrastructure. In Mongolia, urban planning is guided by hazard data and regulatory frameworks with community-led flood resilience transforming gear areas. Pakistan is enhancing urban water resilience through strategic planning and water harvesting. These examples illustrate how planning and how context-specific action led by local governments and supported by robust partnerships can foster lasting urban resilience. One of our main approach is nature-based solutions. So as you know, nature-based solutions provide a powerful means of adapting to climate change by protecting, restoring, and effectively managing ecosystems such as forests, mangroves, and wetlands. These natural systems act as buffers, absorbing shocks from floods, storms, and heat waves, while also storing carbon and supporting biodiversity. Unlike traditional gray infrastructure, nature-based solutions provide multiple co-benefits, including improved health, enhanced livelihoods, and often lower maintenance costs. So by making nature as an ally, cities can build resilience in ways that are sustainable, inclusive, and cost-effective. This is just a photo from Lao PDR, where the project has been completed. You know, the people didn't have access to water, so now the communities, through community-driven approach, are enjoying of these human rights, access to water. And there are so many already impacts in our projects. So we are aiming to benefit over 600,000 people directly, and we have more than 1 million people that are going to benefit indirectly, and 50% of them are women. But just to brief you a little bit about what we do on climate action in UN Habitat in Asia. So we are also working on urban energy because cities are facing a convergence of climate-related challenges. Rise in urban heat is not just a discomfort, as we can feel sometimes we just feel hot, but it's not just only about that. It's a growing public health crisis, especially in informal settlements, where inadequate infrastructure prevails. Climate change is also worsening air pollution, spreading diseases, and straining already fragile health systems. At the same time, our region is the most disaster impacted globally, accounting for 78% of global disaster displacement. Sorry, I missed that slide. For 78% of global disaster displacement. We have about 24 million people that have been affected by displacement in Asia alone. As climate impacts outpace adaptation, cities are experiencing growing loss and damage, especially in areas where vulnerabilities are compounded and resources are limited. So in this context, again, local leaders are more important than ever. So mayors, you are not only implementers of action plans, but we are also the trusted communicators. Yet, sometimes misinformation and a lack of tailored resources make climate communication difficult, particularly in the global south. UN Habitat is working and will continue working to support cities with integrated approaches, linking climate resilience, health, crisis response, and communication to build safer, healthier, and more inclusive urban futures. So let's work together with integrated, inclusive, and forward-looking strategies to protect our cities and our people from the impacts of climate change. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Oddy, for sharing about the Adaptation Fund projects. And I think now we have a great perspective of the links between climate adaptation and how all of the different models from Pakistan to the heart of South America, and also the Kaizen model and sustainability from Toyota Motor Corporation and UNIDO and the UN Habitat opportunities can help to spur more growth for us. Are there any questions before we conclude the panel? So if not, I really invite you to continue to network and liaise, and we also have our WhatsApp group where I hope you've all connected on the QR codes, and then you can continue to network on the WhatsApp group as well. I would now like to give the microphone back to our Master of Ceremonies, Ms. Taiko Yokota, and thank you all. Please give our panelists one last round of applause. Thank you, and a photo.
Thank you, Sara, and the speakers.